Love. A profoundly complex and multifaceted word, one that is quite fascinating. People fall in love, and fall out of love. But, whatever the case may be, it's expected that you protect those you love. But, more often than we'd imagine, people who claim to be in love do horrible things to those they claim to love. On June 6, 2023, 22-year-old Sibora Gagani was found after 9 years, but not in a state her family had hoped. She was found concreted inside a wall at her old flat, and this was a shocking discovery to detectives and a painful one to her family. When the real reason behind her disappearance was discovered, it was worse than anyone had expected, especially when the man behind her death was someone who she had loved. 22-year-old Sibora Gagani was born in Italy to Albanian parents. Growing up, she was a very curious child, wanting to know anything and everything about what she saw around her. Being the only daughter of her mother, Sibora was spoilt with love. Although her family was loving and tried to guard her, they still allowed her make her own decisions regarding things that concerned her life. At the age of 19, in 2011, Sibora met the then 36-year-old man Marco Gaio Romeo, fondly called Marco R. The two quickly fell in love, and everyone around Sibora could see she was head over heels for Marco. But the honeymoon phase didn't last long. Sibora confided in friends that her boyfriend would hit her at every slight provocation. But he would often come back to apologize, begging her it wouldn't happen again. Although friends told her to leave the relationship, she actually saw a future with him, and she also believed he was going to change. In 2014, Sibora moved from Italy to Torremolinos, a Mediterranean resort town on southern Spain's Costa del Sol, to be with the love of her life. She didn't care that he had his bad side. The good she saw in him outweighed the bad, and she was willing to be with him, whatever it took. So, moving to a city where they could explore together was something she looked forward to. But, soon after the move, she realized she just might have made the wrong decision. And so, she made a call to someone who she knew would make her feel better, her mom. After the conversation with her mother, she made a decision to finally end things and maybe move back home to Italy. Days passed and Sibora's mother Betta didn't hear anything from her daughter, and so, she became worried. She tried calling her, but there was no response, and so, she reached out to Marco, who told her Sibora had left after the two parted ways. He claimed not to have heard from her since the moment she packed her things. Betta, uncomfortable with his explanation, reached out to the Spanish police to file a missing persons report, but days passed and there was no news about her daughter. The case soon went cold. Her family back in Italy didn't know what had happened to her for 9 whole years. On May 27, 2023, Marco became a prime suspect in another case. An Italian mother of 3, Paula, was found in her home with 14 stab wounds. Marco, who was the father of one of her kids, was seen fleeing from her residence by neighbors. When officers from the Spain National Police went to look for him, they realized he had fled the area. Thankfully, he was quickly caught and taken to the station. When he was being led into an interrogation room, he saw a missing persons poster of Sibora on the wall and spontaneously confessed to knowing where she was. According to Marco, on July 7, 2014, the two had gotten into a heated argument and he was furious. He just didn't understand why she wanted to end the relationship. He felt she had no right to want to leave him. It is unclear how or when exactly she lost her life, but it is believed her death was planned. Sibora was successful in moving out of their shared apartment, and the two continued to exchange heated messages. Up until today, Marco has refused to share how exactly he killed her, but the authorities have pieced together what happened after Sibora's death. In their opinion, after killing her, he went ahead to dismember and dissolve her body in acid, before putting her remains in a box. He also left a bloody knife and some flowers in the box and then concealed it with sand and concrete, between two walls of the apartment. At the time of his confession, the 45-year-old man had moved out of the said apartment, but the new tenants were nice enough to cooperate with the authorities. The police spent days searching the apartment, knocking on walls, drilling holes and inserting cameras, but found nothing. Finally, a few days later, using an X-ray system, officers detected the wooden crate hidden between two walls. They immediately tore down the walls and upon inspection, human remains were found inside. The remains were taken to the Institute of Legal Medicine (IML) for autopsy and identification. The results only confirmed what authorities already knew. They had just found the body of the missing 22-year-old woman, Sibora Gagani. When the news was broken to her family, they were devastated. Although they hadn't heard from her and were searching for her, there was a tiny part that held on to the hope that she was out there somewhere, alive. The news about her remains being found took away that hope. Marco R. remains in custody, awaiting trial for the murders of Sibora and Paula. Hopefully, he gets what he deserves. All Sibora Gagani wanted was to love and be loved back in return. From her story, we can tell she was the type of person to go the extra mile for those she loved, overlooking their shortcomings, and always giving them chances, regardless of how that made her look. She always saw the good in people and ignored the bad. For such a young, vibrant and kind-hearted person, she didn't deserve what happened to her. Neither did Paula, Marco's second victim. May their souls rest in peace. Thanks for watching. Please like, share and subscribe. Also, let me know your thoughts about Sibora's story in the comments section.